Go ahead.
Your car.
Well, how much would you say your jewelry is worth? It's not a joke, you know. We're not in a club now.
Okay, but...
Imagine standing before a judge, the final gatekeeper of justice, and instead of showing remorse, you laugh. You mock the system, you roll your eyes, and you think the courtroom is your stage. But what happens when that arrogance collides with the cold authority of the law?
And that's bars. All right.
So, are you working?
Yes.
How much money are you making a week, approximately?
Today, we're diving deep into a jaw-dropping courtroom moment, where one woman's shocking disrespect turned a simple hearing into a national spectacle. A young woman thought she could play games with the judge. But the judge? He had other plans, and his sentence left the entire courtroom in stunned silence. This is the story of how disrespect met justice. The girl who laughed at the law. It began like any other morning in a Florida courtroom. Cameras rolling, a judge presiding, and a young woman standing before him, barely 18, charged with possession of controlled substances.
I can see you're serious, alright?
You just made me laugh. I apologize.
It's alright. How much is your jewelry worth?
It's worth a lot of money.
Like what?
Like...
Her name was Penelope Soto, and what was supposed to be a routine bond hearing became one of the most viral courtroom clips in history. From the moment she walked in, her attitude was electric, not the nervous kind, but the defiant kind. She smiled, flipped her hair, and giggled while the judge asked her questions. The tension was thick, but the courtroom had no idea that within minutes, everything would explode. Because when the judge tried to give her a fair chance, Penelope responded not with respect, but with mockery. And that single mistake would cost her more than she could ever imagine. The judge who saw through the smile. Sitting on the bench that day was Judge Jorge Rodriguez Chamet, a man known for fairness, but also for never tolerating nonsense in his courtroom. He'd seen countless defendants, scared, silent, hopeful, but rarely had he seen someone walk in smirking like they were at a party. At first, he was calm. He asked her about her assets, her bail, her ties to the community. And she kept giggling. The judge looked up, his patience slipping, but he still gave her grace.
Jewelry for a private attorney. What is the standard bond?
It's to be...
Ain't gonna be no PTS.
Okay, 5,000 on count one, and then the rest should be ROR.
He set her bail at $5,000, a reasonable amount. And that's when she made her first mistake. As she turned to leave, she said, "Adios." Mockingly. Loud enough for everyone to hear. The judge froze. His eyes locked on her. He called her back. And the temperature in that courtroom dropped instantly. When courtroom turned into a lesson. The air was heavy with silence as the judge stared at her down. "What did you just say?" he asked. "Adios," she repeated, still with that smirk. And with one sentence, the judge doubled her bail to $10,000. The courtroom gasped. You could almost feel the blood rush to her face, her smile disappeared. But instead of learning her lesson, she made a fatal choice. As she walked away again, she flipped her middle finger in the air and said, "F***you."
Just cursed at the judge, and then gave him the finger.
Come back again.
The courtroom exploded in murmurs. The judge didn't even flinch. He calmly said, "Did you say F*** me?" She didn't answer. He leaned back and said the words that would echo across the internet. 30 days in. Silence after the storm. In that 1 second, her laughter was gone. Her face fell. The arrogance evaporated. And suddenly, she wasn't the girl mocking authority, she was just another young woman facing the cold reality of consequences. The courtroom fell completely silent. No one expected that a simple bond hearing would turn into a life-changing punishment. But the judge wasn't trying to humiliate her, he was teaching her something the streets, the system, and her own choices hadn't yet taught her: respect. Because in that courtroom, the judge isn't your friend, your enemy, or your audience, he is the law itself. And when you cross that line, you don't just disrespect the man, you disrespect the entire justice system. The world reacts.
Bring him back again.
What's up?
I believe I heard you saying to...
Yes, I did. I'm not going to the...
I believe you...
Within hours, the clip spread across YouTube, Facebook, and national TV. People couldn't stop talking about it. Half the viewers cheered for the judge, while others questioned whether the punishment was too harsh. Some said, "She's just a kid, she didn't mean it." Others said, "That's exactly why she needed that wake-up call." It became a national debate about attitude, respect, and consequences. And as the video racked up millions of views, Penelope Soto became an unwilling symbol of defiance and humiliation. But behind the viral fame, a real transformation was brewing. Because what happened next, nobody saw coming. The moment of regret. 30 days in jail might not sound like much, but for an 18-year-old who had never faced consequences before, it was everything. Inside those cold walls, the laughter stopped. There were no cameras, no audience, no judge to argue with.
Ma'am,
Money.
have you had any kind of drugs in the last 24 hours?
Actually, no.
Actually, no.
Judge, I'll make it easy for the court.
Just silence. And reflection. When she returned to court a few days later, her face was completely different. Gone was the smirk, gone was the sarcasm. She looked humble. Nervous. Emotional. The same judge sat before her, calm, patient, but stern. And this time, she didn't roll her eyes. She apologized. Through tears, she said she was sorry for what she said, for what she did, for disrespecting the court. And the judge, in that rare display of humanity, accepted her apology. He reduced her sentence.
My behavior was very irrational, and I apologize not only to the court and you, but to my family.
But the lesson stuck with her forever. The psychology of arrogance. Why would someone mock a judge, someone who literally holds your future in his hands? Psychologists call it the illusion of invulnerability, a belief, especially common in young people, that nothing bad can truly happen to them. Add to that a mix of embarrassment, fear, and immaturity, and arrogance becomes a shield. Penelope wasn't laughing because she didn't care. She was laughing because deep down, she was terrified. But the judge didn't see a terrified girl, he saw someone mocking his authority. And in a courtroom, perception matters as much as intent. That's the tragedy of it all. Sometimes, what we think is harmless attitude can destroy our credibility in seconds. The unseen consequences. After the viral fame faded, Penelope's life changed in more ways than she expected. For months, her name was searched online, replayed in compilations, and commented on by millions. Potential employers saw it. Colleges saw it. Even family members who hadn't heard from her in years saw it. That 30-second outburst became a shadow that followed her everywhere. And that's the true cost of impulsive disrespect in the digital age. Your mistakes are no longer forgotten, they're immortalized. Every smirk, every word, every action, replayed forever for strangers to judge. Ironically, she became a lesson not just in law, but in digital accountability. When respect is the only currency. In a courtroom, there's no money, no fame, no influence that can buy you leniency, only respect. The judge's reaction wasn't about ego, it was about preserving order in a place where justice must stay sacred. If one person mocks the system and gets away with it, others will follow. So when Penelope flipped off the judge, she didn't just disrespect him, she disrespected every person who believes in fairness and law. That's why his response wasn't vengeance, it was a reminder. A reminder that respect isn't optional, it's the foundation of justice. And that's something even the harshest sentence can't teach better than that single, unforgettable moment. The court of public opinion. Long after the case ended, debates continued online. Was the judge too strict? Should he have been more understanding toward a teenager under stress? Or was he right to uphold discipline in a system that too often gets mocked? The internet became its own courtroom, with millions playing judge and jury. But behind all the noise, one truth remained: the law demands respect. Whether you're rich or poor, young or old, guilty or innocent, the courtroom is not your playground. It's a place where one word can change your entire life. And Penelope learned that lesson, not through lectures, but through the power of consequence. A deeper lesson in humanity. What made this story resonate wasn't just the drama, it was the humanity in it. It showed us how fragile the line is between pride and regret. It showed us that even when people make mistakes in public, redemption is still possible. Because when Penelope returned to apologize, the judge didn't humiliate her again, he gave her a second chance. That small act reminded everyone that the justice system isn't heartless. It's stern, yes, but it's also capable of forgiveness. That's the balance every judge tries to maintain, between punishment and compassion. And in that balance lies the true spirit of justice. The turning point. After serving her brief time and facing her public humiliation, Penelope decided to change. She focused on rehabilitation programs and avoided further trouble. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but something shifted in her. That one moment of disrespect that brought her global attention also gave her a mirror, a chance to see the reflection of her own actions. And sometimes, that's what life does. It breaks your pride so you can rebuild yourself from the truth. The courtroom that once humiliated her became the reason she found humility. A full circle, crafted by justice itself. How one moment defines a life. Every person has a moment they can't undo. For some, it's a decision. For others, a word. For Penelope Soto, it was a smirk, a finger, and an adios. But while the world laughed or judged her, she became something more, a lesson. A reminder that power doesn't lie in defiance, it lies in awareness. That 1 second of disrespect may have given her jail time, but it also gave her perspective. And that's the most brutal, yet transformative kind of justice, the kind that changes you from the inside out. The courtroom that taught the internet a lesson. Even today, years later, that video circulates online. Millions of people still watch it and comment things like, "She got what she deserved," or "That judge was a legend." But behind the memes and clips lies a deeper story, a young woman's humiliation, her growth, and the judge's reminder to the world. Respect is not a performance. It's a choice. You don't earn leniency through charm, you earn it through humility. And no matter how viral the moment became, its essence remained timeless. Because in every courtroom, in every trial, one rule will always echo: justice demands dignity. From arrogance to accountability. Watching that clip years later, you can't help but notice how quickly everything changed for her: the laughter, the shock, the tears. It's almost symbolic of how fast life can humble you. One moment, you're laughing at the system. The next, you're living inside it. And that's the power of reality. It doesn't wait for you to grow up, it forces you to. What makes this case unforgettable isn't just the punishment, but the transformation. Because every act of disrespect is a test, not of authority, but of character. And in this story, justice won not by crushing arrogance, but by awakening conscience. A message to every young soul watching. If you've ever felt invincible, if you've ever thought your words don't matter, let this story remind you that every action echoes. Respect isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And when you find yourself standing before someone with power over your future, humility isn't surrender, it's survival. Penelope Soto's story isn't just about disrespecting a judge, it's about facing the mirror that life holds up when you least expect it. She entered that courtroom with pride. And left it with perspective. Sometimes, that's the punishment we all need, not time, but truth. The beauty of consequence. The real shock wasn't the sentence. It was the transformation. A young woman who once mocked authority became a symbol of how one moment of humiliation can become a lifetime of humility. The judge didn't destroy her future, he saved it. Because sometimes, the harshest lessons create the strongest souls. And that's the real power of justice, not revenge, but redemption. So the next time you see someone laugh at the law, remember. That laughter might just be the sound of a lesson waiting to be learned. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that respect, humility, and accountability still matter, don't just scroll away. Hit that subscribe button, share this story, and let more people understand the truth behind those viral courtroom moments. Because behind every clip is a life, a choice, and a lesson the world needs to hear. This is Courtroom Chronicles, and you've just witnessed what happens when arrogance meets authority, and justice answers back.